Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, I bring you guys awesome interviews, and it is an honor and privilege to have a good buddy of mine back on the show. He's one of my favorite bands that's out there right now. I got to see him back on the Ozfest tour back in 2000, 2001, something like that. He's
2000.
what was it, 2000? Yeah, 2000.
Yeah.
He is none other than the vocalist of Slaves on Dope, Jason Rockman. Glad to have you back on here, my brother.
Glad to be on, man.
You guys have a new album that's getting ready to come out here a day before my birthday, October the 7th, called Horror.
Really?
Yes.
You're the 8th.
Yep, mine's the 8th, October the 8th, and this is coming out on the 7th, the day before my birthday. It's called Horse. Let's get right into this, man. What's impressed you the most about making the new album?
Well, I think the tenacity of Kevin and I to actually stick with it and get it done. I mean, it just seemed like this record was taking forever. And I remember looking at him at one point because we were announcing to people that this was going to come out in 2014, maybe even 2013. At one point, we were thinking, the record's going to come out next year, and it just took forever for us to get this thing done. These songs have been written for, I'd say, a good 2 years, maybe more. It took us a long time to fine tune everything, and because my schedule and Kevin's schedule are both packed, it was really, really hard for the two of us to get in the room and say, all right, let's get this thing wrapped up. And at one point, we were looking at 18 songs, and we're like, man, this thing is it's going to take us forever. And then we just said, look, let's just book a few hours every week and just chip away at it. And we did. And before you knew it, we got on a roll. And then we were like, well, let's do a few more days a week. And then we wanted to get it finished. And then finally we got the sucker done. And I'm glad because we're ahead of the game because we've got 10 songs on this record, and we've got about another 7 left that are really strong tracks that we have ready for the next record. So you're looking at probably a year and a half between records instead of 4 for the next one.
Nice. That was going to be my next question. If you guys had any more songs that could be on a new album, possibly coming out later on, maybe, because I know you said you guys went in there and just started doing stuff. So that's awesome.
Well, we've got like I said, we've got a good 7 to 8 tracks for the next album. We're working on a re-release of Inches from the Mainline with a live DVD, and we're going to press that on vinyl as well. So that's going to be coming in the next year or year and a half. And we also have some really cool collaborations with DMC that are coming. Besides the one that's on our album now, we've got one that we did for his album with Chuck D from Public Enemy, and then we've got another one that we did for a movie that Chuck narrated on Spencer Haywood, the NBA player, that's coming out in late fall. So there's a lot of fun stuff coming up for Slaves on Dope. It's a lot of fun stuff on the horizon.
Who produced this album? I know it's I guess what from what I saw was not on label just as of yet, but who produced this one, Jason?
It's Kevin. Kevin, my guitar player. He does everything. He produced it, he recorded it, he mixed it, and mastered it. He's really a jack of all trades when it comes to this music stuff. So. It's all Kevin's production, and that's what he does for a living now. He's got a studio, and he's gotten really good at it, so we're pretty blessed.
Any songs off the album that stand out more to you, if any? And I want to get into the Darrell, DMC McDaniels, because I know you did a collaboration with him on this too, but are there any songs that stick out to you on this album?
It's fun. It's funny because I've listened to the album a lot, and I just think from front to back, it's a solid record. A lot of records will be front-loaded where your first 4 tracks, you just come out blazing and you want to really impress people and grab them, and then the record will kind of taper off. But I think the record's really evenly balanced. I think that it's well paced. The song, it ends off on this song Disco Biscuit, which is a really strong song. There's some really heavy moments on the record. There's a lot of melody on this album. So I really like the album as a whole. Probably my favorite track is Interplanetary Mission, the one we did with Bill Kelleher from Mastodon. Yeah. That to me is, I'm a big stoner rock fan, and desert rock fan, so it's kind of deserty. It's got that kind of droney vibe to it, and I'm really proud of that track. It came together really, really well. So right now, it's my favorite track. It's the one I tend to listen to the most.
How was working with, like I said, I mentioned this before, with DMC McDaniels of Run DMC, and plus working with Bill from Mastodon? How was working with these guys, man?
Working with both of them was a dream come true. I mean, Bill Darrell was the guy we got to actually work with in the studio. Like, he came in and recorded the part. So we got to actually have the physical contact when he was recording, which was so much fun to see a pro like him. I mean, I think he went in and he did his verses twice or three times maybe, and that was it. He nailed it right away. Bill was more of a process because Bill was doing it in his home studio. So I know that he wrote some of the solo when he was in Rochester on his laptop, and then he went home and tracked it in his studio and then sent it to us. It was the solo. We had given him, I think, 8 bars or 12 bars, and we liked what he was doing so much. We said, look, man, I know you spent time writing this, but would you mind extending it? We'll make it a 32-bar part. And he did, and it's great because it's a really nice, long solo. The minute he hits those notes, you know it's Bill from Mastodon. I mean, it's just such a distinct sound to the way he plays and the way he put the track together. So that was really fun. I mean, I remember getting that in an email, opening it up, and sending it to Kevin and going, man, listen to that. You're just going to be floored. And it was just amazing.
How different is this album from the last one, if any? Can you compare one another to each other or no?
I think this album, the last album, was one of these records where we just had to show people, okay, we're back. And it was a different way of writing. It was Kevin and I together writing alone. We were writing in a studio. We weren't writing in a jam room, going over parts over and over again. So it was a totally different approach. It was the first time we collaborated on lyrics, so that was fun. So I think it's different that in the sense that it's a little more mature, I would say. This album is really focused. There's a lot of melody on this record. There's a lot of harmonies on this record, a lot of texture. So, but it's still, if you listen to the last record and this record, it sounds like a natural progression, I think.
What do you hope the fans take away from Horse when it comes out October the 7th and beyond? What do you hope the fans take away from it, Jason?
Well, I hope people like the record. I hope people actually go out and get the physical copy of the record because the cover of the album is unbelievable. It was Marco Rudy, who is an artist from Marvel Comics, who's a friend of mine, and he painted it. He nailed it. He just got exactly what we wanted on the cover. Right away. We didn't have to give him that much, that many notes. He just did it. He knew what to do. It was amazing. When he gave it back to us, we were like, are you kidding me? Like, you got it. You nailed it. So I'm pretty proud of the packaging of it. I'm proud of the front cover and the back cover. To me, they're real works of art. So I hope people from that point appreciate the cover. I hope they appreciate what we're trying to get across in terms of a message in the album, because there's a theme that runs through it. And I hope people enjoy it. I hope people just like the record. We're the kind of band, we've been around so long that we're going to get those fans that might have liked us, 16 years ago on Inches from the Mainland going, well, these guys aren't heavy anymore. The fact of the matter is I do this music to make myself happy and to see smiles on the guys in my band's faces primarily. And as long as we're happy, if everyone else is into it, great. If they're not into it, there's a big world out there full of music that you can go and get into.
Yeah.
But I know that our fans and our friends that have listened to the album are really into it. So far, everyone I've played it for has been like, man, this is a solid record. So I think I think people are going to enjoy it.
The album art is just fucking amazing, man. I mean, it stands out. It got the horse on the front, got the faces on it. It's just a badass album from front to beginning or from the beginning to the end. So kudos.
Thank you for that, man, and we really appreciate your support, man. You're always there for us, so it's a pleasure to talk to you again.
It's funny. I just thought about this, how I go from a fan being in the crowd to see you guys at Ozfest of 2000, and then I'm sitting here interviewing for the second time.
Hey, listen, I work in radio, so I get the same thing. Sometimes I'll be in front of somebody, I'll be like, man, I've been listening to you for years.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened with Bill from Mastodon. I mean, Bill and I became friends through me interviewing him. We stayed in touch for about 5 years, and then next thing I know, he's on our album, and then he's shooting a video with us for the song on our album when he was in Montreal. So
that's awesome. What can fans expect at a show from the Mighty Slaves on Dope from you guys, man?
Energy, power, aggression, fun. We don't take ourselves too seriously. We've never been like that, but we're strong. We're a well-oiled machine. We've been doing it for a long time. We really enjoy playing live still, and we're older gentlemen now, so it might be a little different than when you saw us in 2000, but we definitely can still give it, man. That's for sure. I'll tell you, the recovery time after a show is a lot longer than it used to be. I mean, we used to do like 230, 240 shows a year sometimes when we were really going at it. So I look back at the younger me and I go, man, you were a tough bastard. So but we, it's kind of like, I think if you've been doing that your whole life, which I've been pretty much most of my adult life, I've been in Slaves on Dope. So for me to go back, get up on stage and do it, it's kind of like putting on a comfortable pair of shoes. You know what to do. You've had them on before. They're comfortable. You know how far you can push it before they're going to break.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I mean, we just did a show in Madison, Wisconsin last weekend, and it was the first time we had done Scriptwriter with the MC live. It was the first time we played Scriptwriter live, and it was so much fun. And it was just so fun to play in front of that crowd and to see that they're fans like you, that guys that had seen us back in 2000 still remember the band and still stuck with the band and were excited to see us. It's a blessing. We're really, really fortunate to still be doing this.
I remember watching on YouTube, and this is after you guys took a hiatus, and I was like, what the hell? Where's Slaves on Dope at these days? And I found a video of you guys playing, I want to say Colorado, but it might not be in Colorado, but it was freaking cold. And people were throwing snowballs on the stage, and you guys were just out there getting it. I was like, holy crap. And you can see that we're so cold, you guys' breath coming out when y'all were singing and stuff. And I can't remember what it was at. I want to say Colorado, but I'm probably wrong on that.
I think that might have been a show we did in Quebec, Jam de Neige.
Okay.
I think, but it's possible, but yeah.
But it was cool, though, just to see that, the atmosphere and everybody going crazy. I was like, look at this, I'm even in the freaking cold.
Yeah, well, it gets cold up in Canada.
Do you prefer the digital era the way it is now, recording albums and stuff? Or I know lots of people just want to be in the studio. I mean, regardless, you got to be in it. But do you like the digital age now?
Well, I think that guys that grew up in an age where when you went into the studio, you had to be prepared. When we would go in and record in the early days, when we finally got into a studio, it was like we were so well rehearsed before we would get into a studio that we would know what we were doing, and we would try not to be in there too long because it was always so damn expensive.
Yeah.
And nowadays I find the band's chops might not be up to par with the way they might have been. And I'm talking about playing as a unit. A lot of bands don't play together or haven't played together much before they get on stage or before they recorded, because it's a different process now. Before, you'd really, really have to know your stuff before you go and record, or you blow your budget. So I think the way to do it now, if you're a band that has already had that work ethic and you know what goes into it, having a studio at your disposal can be great, like the way we do, because it allows us to really, really experiment and do a lot of stuff we might not have been able to do before, but we know that there's a certain amount of work that needs to go in before. It's just done in a different way. I personally like it because it's very time effective. Like it's time effective. Like you're able to get in and get stuff done fairly quickly, and you don't have to waste a lot of time messing around. Remember, I'm a singer. I don't play any instruments, so being in a jam room with a bunch of guys noodling on guitars and drums, it's like torture for me. It's like I'm always like, okay, let's get to it. Let's start going.
Yeah.
So when you're in a studio and you're recording and you're writing that way, it's a lot easier, because usually I'll walk in and there'll be a finished song already, and I just have to hum stuff over it and try to come up with ideas. And then, I'll come up with some kind of phonetic jargon or, mumbo jumbo that just sounds like words. And then we'll listen to that and go, okay, that works. Now let's write lyrics to that. So it's a different way of working.
In your own opinion, Jason, what does Slaves on Dope bring to the table for music that's not out there right now, possibly?
Well, I definitely think we don't sound like anybody else. I don't think we've never been a band that, like, oh yeah, they sound just like this, they sound like just like that. Like we're kind of hard pressed to find a band that sounds like us, because I think at this point we just sound like ourselves. I think we're bringing direct, straight, honest, no bullshit. It's just, it's different. I mean, we don't really sound like anybody else. So that can be polarizing. Some people can really, really like it, and some people can be like, I don't like this. I don't really know what to think of this. A lot of times people watch us play, and I've noticed this, they kind of just stand there, and you're like, I don't even know if they enjoyed it. And then you'll get off stage, and they'll be like, oh, that was amazing. Mm-hmm. And I'll wonder, like, why are they not going nuts? But maybe they just have to take it in. Maybe they're just like, I got to take this in. This is what's going on up there, Like that show we played a couple weeks ago in Madison, we were very different than the rest of the bands that were on that bill. There were a lot of bands that were like active rock, bands that had like, I don't want to say a gimmick, but they had like a look, and they had like their stage stuff down, and they had their stage clothes, and they all this stuff. And we just come on and we just walk up, play, and that's it. Like there's nothing fancy about it. We're just like everyday guys that go up there and play. So I think we might bring a bit of that back to our genre of music, where it's not about your skinny jeans and your eyeliner and your hair and your it's just about going up there and kicking it.
Yeah. Not if your hair's teased or, hey, let me
I don't have any hair. If I could grow hair, I'd probably tease it. But I started going bald when I was in my 20s, and I just took it all off.
Next time I see you at a show, I'm going to bring you a big blonde wig, dude.
Please do. I promise you, if you're at a show, I'll wear that the whole show for you.
Oh, that'd be awesome. But you got to wear, but you got to wear a BODS Mayhem Hour shirt too. So.
What shirt? Which one?
You got to wear a BODS Mayhem Hour shirt too. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, what made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you, my man?
I think when I was a kid, I was always a huge music fan. I grew up in a house that was really musical. My mom loved music. My dad loved music. So I was always into music from a young age. And I think when I originally was in the theater program, I wanted to be an actor. That was my passion. I went to theater. I got into a really hard theater school to get into. And at the time, I was still drinking. And I don't want to say I flunked out, but I kind of left. I quit like 2 years into a 3-year program and just said, I don't want to do this anymore. And I started jamming in a band, and I liked it much better because I could have fun, I could party, and I didn't have to learn all these lyrics and go to these crazy rehearsals like you did in theater. So, I don't mean lyrics. I didn't have to learn all these words, because in theater school you had to learn pages and pages of scripts. And in music, it was like you get up there and you have a good time, and it was different. And I don't know. I just, once I got up on stage, that was it. I loved it, and I was immediately hooked. And it consumed me. Like in my 20s, that's all I wanted to do was music. I mean, I spent my entire 20s in a van.
I've heard several musicians, and I want to ask you this. It's like they said that when they get on stage, they're a totally different person. It's like an alter ego comes out.
Yeah. That definitely.
Oh yeah, really?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say stuff on stage. I'll be a certain way on stage that I'm not necessarily when I'm off stage. I try to keep it a little more in check now. I mean, there's videos of me up on stage on Ozfest when I was saying some pretty crazy stuff, like I don't want to say being, I don't know, I was being a jackass like most young guys would, but it's not that I just think you get older and you realize that you don't have to be like that, but I still am a different person up there. Like people that'll talk to me will say, "Oh, you're so soft spoken, you're kind and you're nice," and and then when I get up there, I'm a different guy.
I got the video to prove it, folks.
Yeah, there you go.
What's it mean to you guys? And I'm sure you still receive this when you receive an email from a fan, or prior to the shows or after the shows. They'll tell you that your music has pulled them through a bad time, gave them inspiration to overcome obstacles, or it's just made them to enjoy the everyday life that we go through, just make them, make them relax, escape the reality that we go through and everything. What's it mean to you, man?
Well, coming from my background, I'm a I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I work a 12-step program that in my program, one of the things you do is you're always there to be of service to people and to help people out and to give back. So when someone tells me that means the world to me. It means that I've done them a service. I've helped them out. So yeah, and I get emails like that all the time from people saying, I listened to this album, it really helped me through this, and it never gets old. It's always a really, really nice thing to hear from people.
I just got to say thank you guys for your music, and I've been hooked on you guys ever since the first time I saw you perform at Ozfest back in 2000. That's still one of my favorite highlights of Ozfest, and there was a ton of great bands on that show, but you guys stuck out for the locals and stuff, so thanks, man.
Well, I really appreciate it, man. You have no idea how much. Folks,
Horse comes out October 7th, the day before my birthday. Give me some strippers. I need them. Also, with all seriousness, go out and support Slaves on Dope. Like Jason said, their album's different, from the first one to now. But go out and give them a chance to listen to them. Pick up Horse and or Inches from the Mainline, stuff like that. Jason, how can folks stay in touch with you guys? Buy the new album coming out, buy some merchandise. How can they do that?
SlavesOnDope.com. It's all up there. You can pre-order the album now. We can get you have T-shirts and all kinds of stuff. So if you just go to the website or on Facebook, you can find us easily.
Before I let you go, my man, will you care to do another promo for the show?
Yeah. Hey, this is Jason from Slaves on Dope, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour. Keep it on, motherfuckers.
Everybody stick around. We got some great music coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, man.